Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty RoundTable radio talk show.
All right, back with you live, ladies and gentlemen. Sam Bushman, hard-hitting news the networks refuse to use. So, you know, the mainstream press always wants you to believe there's not really any election fraud. Well, you know they're lying, right? And you know that we've told you they've been lying for a long time, right? Well, now we have more and more evidence that it's true. So there's a sheriff, Patrick Withrow. He's in San Joaquin County, Stockton, California area. He's talking about election fraud in his area. They've been performing an investigation. It's a big, long video. I won't play it all, but I will play the introduction to this. Very interesting what he has to say. Check this out.
Once again, good afternoon. Thank you, everyone, for being here today on such short notice. I'm here today to inform you about an investigation that's been going on with us for quite some time now, and it led to the arrest of Lodi City Council member Shakir Khan today at approximately 8 o'clock this morning. This investigation came to our attention in two different ways. One, through the current investigation against Councilman Shakir Khan that he's been going to court through that you all know about, and also by our private citizens here in San Joaquin County who have been concerned over our election process here in our county and in our state and in our country. And so they have brought some things to our attention that we acted on, and all this led to our final investigation here and the outcome today. I want to make it clear that this investigation has only uncovered criminal activity in our county here in a local election. Has nothing to do, it had no impact on any state or federal elections that we know of at this time. Our investigation uncovered that Councilman Shakir Khan has attempted to undermine, manipulate, and violate one of our most fundamental rights here in our country, and that is the right to free and fair elections. I would like to note that it appears Councilman Shakir Khan has targeted members of his own community, our Pakistani community in the North County. And we are doing everything we can to work with them to make sure that they are protected and that any damage done to them or their families is corrected by this man's actions. So I will be turning it over now to Captain Art Hardy and Lieutenant Andrew Theodore, to go through some of the stuff that I told you about that we have here, the evidence. And then I may interject myself in when I see something that I want to comment on that they're going through. So I'll turn it over.
All right, let's go ahead and stop that. The sheriff kind of laid it out. They're going to go through the evidence and the details. It's on the internet if you want to watch the details of it. And I know they're saying this isn't a situation where it's statewide or federal-wide, but it just goes to show, this guy named Khan committed a con, got busted, thanks to Sheriff Patrick Withrow. Doing a great job, by the way. San Joaquin County, which is the Stockton, California area, basically, highlighting election fraud. So with 3,000 sheriffs in the nation, that's why the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, we at the CSPOA, Sheriff Richard Mack, myself, many others, are saying, hey, we've got to look into election integrity everywhere. It's happening. It's happening on local county levels. It's happening at state levels. It's happening at the general level. Okay? Even the Smartmatic people that have attacked Mike Lindell for quite some time, now they're under scrutiny for their election machines. They claim there was nothing to it, but now even the European Union and some of those people over at the UK, they're starting to say, whoa, wait a minute. These machines aren't good. And so you're starting to see a little bit of truth-telling on this beyond what we've said at the CSPOA and on Liberty RoundTable and all that kind of stuff. And I'm glad to see at least a start. But, I believe you had significant election fraud even in the New York elections, the New Jersey elections, the Virginia elections, the California elections, even just this last election cycle. What was it, 2 days ago? It was on the 4th, so this is the 6th, right? Anyway, because I believe that there's a lot of illegals that have voted. And there's a lot of mail-out vote ballots that are turned in that we don't have appropriate custody of the ballots. In other words, you can't really say that it's an appropriate ballot if you don't have end-to-end custody of those ballots to ensure and no hanky-panky's going on, right? Anyway, a big old shout out to the sheriff over there. Good for you, sir. Thank you for your work. I wonder if it's beyond your county, though. It's a fair question. Well, if you ask Dar Leaf, well-known sheriff in Michigan, he basically says, hey, this is a massive issue. And he's been doing research on it for years now. He's waiting for his DA, for the attorneys to do something. So far, they're unwilling to cooperate. But I got to commend Dar Leaf for his efforts, for his attention to these serious, serious matters. All right, I want to go back to what we discussed yesterday. There was an interview between Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes. I think it was a great interview. Not because I agree with Nick, and not necessarily because I even agree with Tucker. But I think when America starts talking, it's good. When America quits talking and everybody doubles down into their own, quote, echo chambers, that is not good. Miscommunication, lack of willingness to openly communicate is a bad thing. And so I praised the interview. Well, there was a gentleman over at the Heritage Foundation. He's the president over there, I guess. He now has apologized to staff for the video refusal to cancel Tucker Carlson, throwing shade at former chief of staff. Ileana Johnson is the one with the piece on this. And there's a big, long video that's over an hour long. He said, I made a mistake, and I let you down. And I let down this institution, period, full stop. Kevin Roberts told employees at an all-staff meeting on Wednesday. So what was that, yesterday, I guess? Yeah. I got a problem with this. Now, I don't really know what the mistake is. I don't know if it's that, hey, we're not going to cancel Tucker. But I don't think we need to just cancel anyone. What's wrong with Tucker putting on Nick Fuentes so that everybody can see what he stands for, what he believes in, and then independently decide if they agree with him or not? I agree with Nick on some things, and I disagree with him on many things. I'm sure I disagree with Kevin Roberts over at the Heritage Foundation on some things. But I disagree with those who are pro-abortion. I agree with those who are pro-birth control for convenience reasons. I'm against those who are violent. I'm against those who are communist and have completely different ideology than me. I'm fine if you have a religious difference from me, a theological difference, but I'm not fine, folks, if you then believe that your religion says you should kill me because I'm an infidel. See, the buck stops there. Whoa, hold on, wait a minute now. You have the right to your beliefs, as do I. My rights end where yours begin. Your rights end where mine begin. So if you want to take the law into your own hands and violate a law of God, my right to life, you've gone too far, see? But anyway, I don't really think it's good that this Heritage Foundation leader just said, oh, I made a mistake. And then he starts talking about our Jewish community and how this and that. We have gone so far in defense of Israel, so far in defense of the Jews, so far into saying, oh my gosh, we're not going to, allow this anti-Semitic behavior. It's so wrong, so evil. We have gone so far down that road to where your free speech is being violated and you're starting to persecute, and I pray we don't, but eventually prosecute anybody who disagrees with Israel for any reason, or anyone who disagrees with a Jew for any reason. Okay? You can't have it about the topic. Let's say a Jew's for abortion. Let's say I'm against abortion. I say, this Jew is for abortion. I'm against this, stance of the Jewish. Can I say that? Or am I now attacking the Jewish religion or the ethnic Jewish whatever? Right? That's the problem. We've gone too far. To prove the point, anti-Semitic is if you're ever against a Jew in any way for any reason, you're anti-Semitic, right? Well, if the table's turned and people are abusing me for being a white male Christian, there's no word for that. There's not even a word to describe the abuse I'm experiencing. How does that work when there's not even a word to describe it? What if we get a word to describe all of it? What would be the word? Would you love thy enemy? Love thy neighbor as thyself? Anything that's opposite of that, in my humble opinion, is a problem. If I'm not going to love my neighbor, what am I going to do? Hate my neighbor? Ignore my neighbor? Hurt my neighbor? None of those things are acceptable in my mind. Anyway, so I accept that this guy believes he made a mistake, and he has every right to say he made a mistake and speak out to his flock or his people the way he wants to. I made a mistake, and I let you down, and I let this institution down, and I'm sorry, the buck stops with me. I get it. He has every right to say that. But I'm afraid what really happened is he tried to stand up for truth and got smacked down so hard by the Jewish lobby and smacked down so hard by big money people that might fund his organization that his free speech was suppressed. Just like mine and Tucker's, right? All right, I'm Sam Bushman. Thanks for being alongside for the ride. Hard-hitting news the networks refuse to use. Talk is at libertyroundtable.com. We are syndicated by the Loving Liberty Networks. LovingLiberty.net. Spread the word, share the love, and God save the Republic of the United States of America.